Here at Talk Tactic, we like to talk about masculinity and becoming a good man. If you feel like you're a nice guy, we want to help you transition to become a good man. Well, one of the themes that is very heavily emphasized in this movie is that between the relationship between the father and the son, right?
In both of the Black Panther and Killmonger.
Right. So you have two specific examples of the Killmonger's father and Killmonger, and then what was it? T'Chaka is the king, and then T'Challa is the son, right? So with Killmonger, you have this father who he's gone to another country, and in a way he's assimilated the foreign country's way of life, and he has found himself a wife, a foreign woman as a wife, right? And in this kind of weird way, in this kind of weird idea, it's implied that the son, Eric Killmonger, won't be accepted because he's not fully Wakandan. In this weird way, Killmonger, the father knew that Eric would not be fully accepted into Wakanda because his wife, he was the son of a foreign woman, not part of the five tribes of Wakanda. And so that idea alone is very interesting, right?
Yes.
When you have a very tradition based culture, it's very hard to accept anyone who isn't 100% steeped in that culture, right?
Right.
Doesn't have any legacy or lineage within that culture itself, right?
Right.
And so even though he was a royal heir to the throne, right? He was the brother of T'Chaka.
Right.
And so that point is interesting. Another interesting point on Eric Killmonger is this idea of growing up in the urban environment or the ghetto environment and the effects of that on the child and the effects of a father remaining within that environment with the child, right? Like what that can do, like the effects of the environment on a family, right?
Right.
And the other idea, which I really love this idea, um, T'Chaka kills the brother. And what happens is, in a lot of urban environments, like you hear about this all the time in Chicago and Detroit, the father, right? So a lot of times you have families that are not married, but so you have a father, but they might live with the mother and the son or the child. But we're talking about sons right now. The father is killed and the son is left in the ghetto, right? And Eric's sort of ride or die mentality, right? Live by the gun, die by the gun. Uh, survival of the fittest sort of mentality is very much what is necessary when you grow up on the streets.
Right.
You have to have this sort of mindset to make the most for yourself a lot of times in these environments because you don't have a father or your father's been killed. In another way, this movie indirectly touches on that topic because it's not like the father was killed because he was a bad guy or whatever, right?
Right.
Well, he kind of was a bad guy. No, he wasn't. He was not a bad guy. But he wasn't like some gangbanger or something stupid like that. But the effect was still the same. When the black father is killed and leaves a child fatherless in that urban environment,
Right.
there's a negative effect.
I like the idea that things from the past and the present cannot be reconciled. So, for instance, his father was killed and they abandoned Killmonger.
Right.
Okay. And when Black Panther goes back to see his father, he says that was wrong, that he was abandoned. And his father doesn't have an answer for that. And then there's another scene where Black Panther is presenting his cause to another king, and the other king says, "You're the first king to come to us and talk about us ever." And he's like, "I can't speak for kings past, but this is why I'm coming to you, because it is a threat to both of us." And so I like this idea. And then the whole idea about Killmonger, ultimately he chooses death because he would rather die than be locked away for the rest of his life, which Black Panther doesn't deny that he will be. So I really like this idea, and then all the other things that it presents, all the other themes. I like this idea that things are not reconciled, and there doesn't have to be a happy ending because things can't be reconciled. Everything cannot and will not be reconciled from the past or the present. And I like this idea that this is one of the things that we've had to deal with personally in reading books in the whole red pill journey, is that we've had to try the best we can to come to grips with truth that is not convenient sometimes to accept. And oftentimes it's not convenient to accept the truth. And when you do accept the truth, then you automatically have things that you want to reconcile, but they can't be reconciled. I like that idea.
Yeah. Remember that theme of consequences create irreconcilable differences
Right.
or paths. Okay, so I'm going to get back to my topic, man, about fathers.
Okay.
Okay, so there's this idea that when the father of a black father is killed, what that does, or what possible consequences that leads to that young boy who's left in that very difficult environment. The other interesting part here is, there was a man that could have taken that boy. There was a man that could have mentored that boy. There was a man that could have incorporated that boy into his family. In fact, that man was that boy's family.
Right.
And that was T'Chaka, the king.
Right.
But because of his shame of killing the boy's father, and maybe he knew somewhere like deep down in his heart, like, this boy can never forgive me for killing his father.
He's going to be the death of me.
He's going to be
if
the
I
death
do
of
this.
me, regardless,
The
right?
same thing that Black Panther thought.
So, but the theme now, when you take it to black culture, is that, the responsibility of black males that have the means, that are able to change the life of one of these children, especially if it's their own blood, right? And the movie doesn't say they're responsible, but it does say there's consequences. There is something that happens, and it's not a positive thing.
Well, I think a really great example of what you just said in this movie is the scene where Killmonger goes back. Well, he doesn't go back. He goes to meet his father.
In the afterlife.
And his father says, "No tears for me." And he says, "It's not anything personal. It's just people die, and that's what happens."
Right.
And then the father starts crying because he knows that he sees this monster that life has
He doesn't
molded.
see a monster. He sees a little boy.
Well, he sees a little boy, and then he sees this person that life has molded into this person.
Yeah.
Who's saying these things, and then he cries, and then Killmonger also cries, and that was the most emotional moment for Killmonger, I think, the whole movie.
Oh man, that was such a beautiful
And
moment.
that was such a great scene. And it was exactly what you're saying. When the Father is taken away, it's not a vacuum. It does have irreversible consequences. And that was such a beautiful way to show that the consequence of him losing his father was that he just had to become whoever he had to become to survive,
Right.
no matter what.
Oh, no, but this scene, guys, this scene should go down in like cinematic film history, man. Like this needs to be taught in classes. Killmonger dies, is buried, and goes into the spiritual world is an amazing cinematic moment. Probably one of the most powerful and poignant scenes I've ever seen in cinema. And what is amazing about this moment is you already seen what happens when T'Challa goes and does the same thing. And what happens for T'Challa is that he's permitted access into the full splendor of his spirituality, right? And instead, when Killmonger goes through this process, they're removed from the spirituality and they're trapped eternally in the ghetto. They're trapped eternally in this crappy little urban apartment.
Yeah,
And in a way, symbolically, it's saying that um, fathers fathers are key in providing the culture and spirituality for their sons.
right.
And that Eric has been robbed of this, man.
Yes.
It's a really powerful moment in the movie. And it's just this amazing thing that the writer and the director would take this idea of paradise and be able to connect it this way, man.
Right.
It's just amazing to me.
So another thing, I want to compare this briefly to Angel and the Bad Man. So in Angel and the Bad Man, you have John Wayne, and he wins a poker game, and then he has all this money. He's won enough money for this girl to go on a trip, and he's very unhappy at the same time because he's comparing he's he's not happy with where he's at, even though by people looking in they would say he's successful, he's at the top of his game, he has things going for him. The same with this guy, the same with Killmonger. He's just defeated his worst enemy. He has just had the victory that he's trained for all his life,
Yeah.
that he has scars all over his whole body for. He's at the top of his form and the top of his game. And now he's having the ritual that only the elite kings get to have. And he comes out of it very, very dissatisfied, very tormented
Yeah.
with
Like,
the success that he's had. And this is a powerful idea, and they did it in a powerful way with that tying it into his father and um the just no matter that he's arrived there, it doesn't matter.
right, he's trapped.
He's trapped.
And the father's trapped.
Yeah,
And the father himself has been robbed
right.
of access to that. Yeah, because he left the son there,
Right.
right? Because of the choices that he made. And the interesting thing is that his father, Killmonger's father, had compassion. Had compassion for people that weren't Wakandan.
Right.
And the father was thinking, you know what? It's not fair for us. But I think the key is that the father wants to use violence as a means to liberate, right? And I think I think maybe the writer and the director see that it may be true that it's the lack of military power for an oppressed people, that I still feel like the writer and the director value some sort of peaceful way of some other way.
They lack presenting a way.
No, not lack. That the director and the writer prefer a way beyond violence.
It seems that
But
to
what
be,
is interesting is they don't give
but
away
they don't give away.
because I don't think there is a way.
Well, no, I mean that goes back to accepting irreconcilable differences and accepting truth that things are not going to be reconciled, and it's part of the way things are.
Yeah,
That's a big theme of the movie.
yeah, it is a huge theme in the movie.
It shows so many different things that are never going to be reconciled. There's no chance of it.
Yeah.
And they're major themes in the movie.